Welcome to this edition of Rick and Bubba University, the podcast. Bubba, we are excited to be visiting today. You know him from Fox and Friends, the Brian Kilmeade Show on Fox News Talk. Also, he is on Fox Nation TV, too. What Made America Great. He has written 6 books, 5 New York Times bestsellers. The latest to go to paper book is Sam Houston and the Alamo Avengers. Rick and Bubba University students and fellow professor Bill Bubba Bussey. Welcome to Rick and Bubba University, Brian Kilmeade.
Brian.
Yes. I wonder, is there a meal plan with this? Am I going to have to study at home like every other person who goes to university? I don't actually get to go to class. I have to do this virtual thing.
I know it's really gotten bizarre, and we're going to get into, my goodness, what has happened to America. But
Brian, are you at work right now? Yeah. Are you at Fox, or have you been at home? Where have you been?
No, I'm not at home. I'm at a studio that they rented on Long Island, which is also shut down, by the way. But they just thought they were told as few people in the building as possible by the mayor, so they're trying to comply with all that.
So they wouldn't let you do it at home like your partner was doing it?
I could, but I got 2 big dogs. I don't have a room to salt away. I got 3 kids running around. It would totally disrupt things.
See, I would love seeing that. I would love that.
No, it's really interesting because Bubba has, multiple, broadcast basements and closets and everything else. And they were like, well, Burgess, what if you have to be at home? And I'm like, I don't know where I would be. I have no game plan to be at home.
Right. And you know what? They don't want you home.
No. My wife says she missing me.
Brian, I probably have the only 6x8 closet that has a green screen in it. You know?
Oh, really?
Oh, man. I've got a TV station packed in a little bitty area, and I do call it the broadcast closet.
Well, I'll tell you, a lot of people want to do it from home. I don't. I do have to get the sense that you got to go to work and not work from home. If stuff you do extra on the side, you're writing something, that's fine. But I'm always like, you got to go to work and disseminate, just like you want to go somewhere to work out as opposed to work out at home.
Now, how old are your children? You said you got 3?
Yeah, I don't really keep track. They're on their own. I'm only kidding. I have 17, 19, 23.
Oh, my goodness. What's the male-female setup?
It is my 17-year-old is Caitlin, 11th grade soccer player. She's looking to get somehow. We're trying to get the whole ID camp thing, play soccer in college. My other one has got Skidmore, and she plays soccer in college. She wants to be a teacher. She had to do the last half of the semester at home and hopes to come back for the fall season. And then my son worked at the XFL, was doing great. And out of nowhere, this pandemic hit, and out of nowhere, Vince McMahon collapsed the league. So he's in the process of trying to hook up in the NFL right now.
Oh, well, that's great. Did you know a couple of – we're going to do Brian Kilmeade little-known facts that our audience brought to the table today, and then I'm going to give you some Rick and Bubba little-known facts. Did you know that the first attempt at the XFL, that Bubba and I were the play-by-play announcers for the Birmingham Thunderbolts?
No way. Are you kidding me?
No, we were.
Did you have any experience?
No, and that's what made it even better.
Look, we have – decades of experience here as broadcasters, Brian, and we're sports fans. So what more do you need?
Yeah, I actually had done color commentating, and Bubba ran the network for a college. It was Division II at the time. It's 1AA now, Jacksonville State University. Sure. And
Rick, don't forget, I did color for the mighty Jacksonville High School Golden Eagles for a few years. Yes, you did. We had some experience.
Yeah, what we did is we did the game like fans would do it, and then even at halftime, my brother would come in, who was a blue collar guy, and he would talk about who he thought did not play well in the first half.
Who was a pud?
Who acted like a pud or a pansy, and we would talk about these things. But I will probably forever be known for calling out a run to the 55-yard line.
I think it was an interception or something, and you were giving the yard lines, and you went 45, 50, 55. I'm like, wait a minute, we ain't got one of those.
There's no 55. So
Bob Costas was not worried about it.
No, not at all.
But we saw some pictures today. I didn't realize that you used to be a UCF guy.
Hey, the
UFC.
UFC.
One of them.
A guy calls up today because some of the guys on our show like the UFC, and they said, did you know that Kilmeade was part of the television broadcast for the UFC when it
won?
The first attempt at it.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, we found pictures of you. We didn't know this.
Yeah, I did the first 4, and I was out in Los Angeles at the time. But I did stand-up for 10 years. And and the guy that really helped me a lot did stand up, also had a production company, and he knows I knew sports. So I'm out in Los Angeles, and he calls me up. He says, "You coming home for Thanksgiving?" And I said, "Yeah." He goes, "I got something to show you. You're the only sports guy I know." I said, "Sure." So I dropped in the day after Thanksgiving, and he showed me these VHS tapes of Brazilian jiu-jitsu fighting. And he's like, "See the guy on the bottom? He's actually winning. This is grappling." He showed me all this stuff. He said, "They want us to televise all mixed martial arts. They want to see if jiu-jitsu can be karate, can be sumo." And I said, he goes, "What do you think?" And he said, "We want to sell it as someone can die tonight." And I go, "You cannot say that. Someone will die." He goes, "Yeah, that we did say it. And that's why 49 states banned us. Everything, I think Denver or Charlotte were the only ones who said yes. So we'd like you to do the first one. What do you want to do?" I go, "I don't know. I'll just do sideline." They go, "Well, now we know you do a show with Jim Brown on radio." I said, "Yeah." They go, "Well, he did the fight in Zaire, the Rumble in the Jungle. Would he do color for us?" So I called up Jim, and Jim named a price. They matched it, and we were the first. I was doing sideline for the first one. He did color. And then the next one, the play-by-play guy had problems, and they asked me with 45 seconds to do what's about to start, "Can you do blow-by-blow, play-by-play?" So I literally ran, switched headsets, and did it. And then I did the next one, and I think the fourth one, and then I was done. And next thing you know, they were about to crash it. They sold it to Dana White, and Dana White made it this thing that's bigger than boxing today. So I was at the first four.
I honestly thought when the guy called the show today, he's mistaken. I really did. I thought, well, he thinks this is Brian Kilmeade, or he's confused. And then we pulled up the pictures of you in the headset doing it, and we were like, no, that is Kilmeade.
It was me. Yeah, I had lived. That was my Los Angeles hair.
And yeah, you look sharp. And you said you did stand-up. What do you mean stand-up?
Comedy?
Comedy, or you mean our sports? Comedy?
Yeah, because, in our business, while you try to get that great job, you're mailing out tapes, you're following up with calls. Well, how do you continue to be a better broadcaster, be better in front of audiences? I said, the one thing they can't control is stand-up. There's always a place to go up. So I took an 8-week class. I only took this class because at the end, you'll have a set, because it was very structured. And at the end, I liked it, so I did it for another 10 years. And it was just one way while you're waiting for that job to come through, or another job, or to get better or get seen. It was another way to be in control of your own destiny.
Were you pretty funny?
Stop you from going on stage.
Were you pretty funny, Brian?
I think I had my moments. I thought I could have been real good, but I always did it without any inhibitions, because I knew I really want to be a better host. And I said, success leaves clues. And a lot of these people had stand-up backgrounds. And I thought, okay, I know sports, I know news. Now let me get very comfortable on stage. I just wanted to be more of I wanted to expand my skill set.
Yeah, there is nothing in the business that is more difficult than stand-up comedy. If you can do that, you can do anything.
Rewarding.
You can do anything.
Yeah, your feedback is immediate. Now, the good news is you don't have to come up with a totally different show every day.
Right.
That's the positive, but it is tough. I mean, and it's always funny to me when we've done stuff, Brian, how you can have a joke and it just slays one night, and then you give the exact same joke, same delivery, and everybody looks at you.
I know.
And you hear crickets. It's just some nights people get it and some nights they don't. And I thought, well, it must be me, but you go back and you look at tapes.
So you guys did it together, or separately?
A little bit of both, and see, because we did the opposite. We went to more of a stand-up from radio.
Yeah.
So I didn't understand the concept that comedians work on one show, and they get it down, and they get their 60 minutes, and or if you're whatever, if you're a warm-up guy, it's 10 minutes or whatever. And I didn't know that. So because Bubba and I were from a radio background, I thought I had to have new material every single time I went up. And I was like, and finally a comedian was like, that's not how we do it. We do the same one, and we get it right. So I wasn't very good, because I kept trying to come up with new material every time. But I learned over the years, and we did a tour on our 20-year deal. I learned over the years, you get the great stories. It's almost like a band when they come out. We want to hear the hits. So nail down the gold stuff and get it into a nice presentation, and just keep doing that in different markets.
Yeah, I mean, I just have so much respect for people that do it. They'll go up 3 or 4 times a night, 7 days a week. if they want to be great. And I think it's so funny in that people say, well, he's funny, go do stand-up. Well, it doesn't matter. That's just where you start. The ones that are going to work are the ones that are going to work. Yeah. They have to work. It's a blue-collar job. Yeah. And you got to go up there and grind and then listen back at your tape and say, okay, where this worked, this was my fault, or I can economize words this way. And after a while, you think to yourself, I don't even remember who was funny, because you get an ear for comedy, but your delivery is going to be honed by just pure reputation. That's why I have so much respect for people that do it. And I understand why people want to go back to their roots. Like Kevin James and Jerry Seinfeld, they're going back to grinding out stand-up because they're in control. And I think they want to also reestablish themselves in the business. Because if you get good, you get that 30 minutes, you get that 60 minutes, then you get the arena, you get the money off the tickets, you get the money off the special. You don't have to wait for a director or a casting director to cast you in it. It's a way of controlling your destiny in a very tough business.
No doubt. So what was the road for you, Kilmeade, to Fox and Friends? How did that finally happen? I've never heard how you got there. And, were you in the very beginnings of this whole Fox News, journey?
Well, one thing I did on Fox Nation, and I think you guys can appreciate it, it's not stand-up, but what you do is, if you know how to do stand-up, you're very comfortable on stage. Yeah. Now, when you go up there to host something, they like you already, or else they wouldn't be there. And what I did, since it's so hard to book speeches that don't conflict with news, hey, you can go to some bank wants you to be a speaker at their retreat. No. Why? Well, that bank could be involved in a scandal next day. Well, who was their speaker? The Fox guy. So I started booking arenas and talking about my books, but I would also start off talking about my career, and that's on Fox Nation. It's called
I have it right.
America Great from the Start.
I was about to say, if you'd like to know, it's actually called What Made America Great, if you'd like to know, Brian.
No, that's a different one.
Oh, is it?
Those are the tape pieces. What I do on stage.
Brian, you're too busy.
I've got 6 of them live on stage, but thanks for naming my...
Brian, you're too busy when you got to look down to know what you're doing.
Yeah. No, basically my start was a little atypical. When I got out of college, I did a lot of radio, but didn't do any television. So I went to television. If you don't have a tape, doesn't matter what your resume said. So I started my own local show, got sponsors, got a wardrobe deal, a limo deal, got a catering deal. All the money went into the show, waited on the side, and I started this show called Health Digest. I was able to get tape out of that, and then started another show called Time Out, a sports show, got some sponsors on that, didn't make a dime. All the money went to the show. So I did everything I could, from selling health club memberships to waiting tables. And then when I finally got a tape, I got the interest to Channel 1, which was a national high school news program. They put together, I did some features where all I had to do was memorize the stand-ups. They just gave me everything. And I was able to get some jobs out of that. And then I started doing stand-up, and I decided I'm going to go out to L.A. and I'm going to give it a shot. So between stand-up, starting at Catch a Rising Star, I got a job in Ontario, California, which is right in the middle, halfway between Palm Springs and Los Angeles. And then I got a job on All Sports Radio, XTRA, at the same time. I was making $5.96 every 2 weeks in television. And then I made $200 a show doing Saturdays and Sundays on XTRA, and then filling in for people. So I was probably making $25,000, having a remarkably unfinanced but exciting life while doing stand-up for a little money out in Los Angeles.
Brian,
I got engaged to my high school girlfriend. And 2 weeks before we're going to get married, all my stuff burns in a fire.
No.
Yep, in Malibu. Went right through. The guy had no insurance. And I decided, I don't know, we got married. I went back out. She stayed in New York for the time. And then I went to Marina Del Rey, was able to get an apartment. And just before she was supposed to move out, I get a call from a local TV station in Long Island. And it says, we want you to be our sports guy for $35,000 a year. And I actually didn't want to leave Los Angeles, but I thought, well, I got 2 jobs making $25,000, working 7 days a week with no house, no clothes, no dresser, no bed. Or do I want to at least go home, restart, take this money, and see where I go? So I decided to go. And within a month, I get fired before my stuff even arrived from LA.
What? How did you do that?
Because the news director gets fired. They hired me that liked me. gets the new guy comes in and doesn't. And before I even arrive, he doesn't like my tape. By the time I get on the air, he calls me in and says, I'm going to be the new news guy. The news guy's going to be the sports guy, and we're going to give you a 2-week severance. And my stuff hadn't even arrived from L.A.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
And so I was able to get a sports job at News Sport, kind of work my way back. And then I found out about a sports job that was open at this place called Fox News and Fox Sports Net. They both liked my tape. I wisely chose Fox News, and I was able to hold on since 1997.
Do you ever, when you're on Fox News, do you ever think about that guy that came in before your stuff even arrived and said, I don't like you? I know we shouldn't have.
Have you crossed him again in the business by chance?
I know we shouldn't have that kind of attitude, but do you ever like, hey, I got a birthday wish today. I'd like to say happy birthday to so-and-so as I sit here on Fox and Friends, and where we've been highly successful since 97.
Right, I do. That's why you're a great interviewer, and just goes to show you, guys, you're right. So I just thought about that. That burned me up because when they walked me out with security, I never did anything wrong.
Yeah.
And I got fired the day John Candy died. That's how I always remember it. John Candy died. When you come in, I'm like, you want me to call? I'm saying to myself, they want me to cover John Candy's death? That's weird for a sports guy. I'm so stupid. So I come in. They go, can you come in early? I'm like, yeah, sure. I'm like, all right, something with John Candy, I guess. I walk in, and they walk me in, and they walk me out with security.
No, they
as if
didn't.
I'm going to.
Yeah.
So as they walk me out, they go, I'll never forget it. They were holding a basket of my stuff. And I'm walking out, and they go, if you decide to stay in this business, you'll find out this happens a lot. And I looked at it, I go, you think I'm going to quit the business because of you? They go, well, just some people take setbacks wrong. So what I did is I thought about them like every day. And that's why at Fox, I don't take one day for granted. That's why I do all the shows. I almost never say no. I never ask for extra money. If it comes up in the contract and they look at my body of work and they say, we want to give you more money, that's great. But I don't demand it. Like Fox Nation, when they said, we want to give you the series, they gave me no extra money. I didn't even think about it. Everyone kept saying to me, why will you not ask for more money? They just doubled your workload. Because I remember the guy walking me out with my $35,000 a year job telling me, do you want to stay in the business? So I'm at the debates on Long Island at Hofstra, and I turn around, and he's there.
No!
And he comes up to me, and he goes, Brian, how you doing? Congratulations on all your success. I've been watching you. And I just paused. I looked at him. I go, oh, you've been watching me? And he goes, yeah, I'm really proud of you. And I hope you're still not mad, but we had to make a change. And it's been 15 years. And then I go, yeah, no problem. I was waiting for the president to come out. I thought I had a real shot of interviewing him. So I kind of just want to get this over with. And then he grabbed my arm and he goes, I was wondering if I could ask you a favor.
No.
And I go, oh, my God. I go, what? And he goes, my grandson died of an overdose, and I need someone to host a fundraiser, and I'm wondering if you would host it for me. So all that hatred and resentment that fueled me kind of went out, and I go, you know what? I realize that people that get in your way don't even know it.
That's right.
Like I give them way too much credit.
That's right.
All these people than they even deserve, nor do they want.
Firing.
That's a great story, by the way.
It is. Firing in broadcasting is probably about the most brutal of any.
It is brutal.
Most people keep a box under their desk, Brian, just in case.
Yeah.
Has that happened to you guys?
Well,
I've been.
Fired, several times. And when you come to affiliates, if your self-esteem is fragile, you cannot get into syndication because literally what you've said is I could be hired and fired by week in and week out by various people.
Oh yeah,
and we've been fired by fax machine, this kind of stuff. But but I think you make a point for people watching and listening to this, and we always try to make that point when we talk to people. I think sometimes, especially sometimes the younger generation, they're led to believe, especially modern day, that people who are successful somehow. It was ill-gotten gains. Somehow that something happened to them, and I'm not getting the same opportunities, and I'm not getting this, and it was how did this happen to them? And they need to hear that most everybody that has, that God has shown grace to, that has become maybe experienced some success. Everybody has stories of being fired, of being, something didn't work. I tried a project. It turned out to be no good. I had to go out of business. Then I got a new idea. Everybody, I've never talked to anyone that doesn't have setbacks that if you don't understand that, when you face that setback, you might quit.
And I'll tell you this, I'm playing a sport I know you guys hate. So I played soccer.
It's all right.
Kid around. That was the first time I met you guys. You said, first off, soccer sucks.
We love you anyway,
No,
Brian.
we do, Brian. And we all got things we're not proud of.
I have the other story is that I tell on American Great from the start, as I just give people an understanding why I am not cocky. People are not like me, but they'll never say that I'm cocky or impressed with myself, because in the back of my mind, I remember that guy carrying out all my stuff. But prior to that, I wanted to be a great soccer player. I tried to play 300 days a year. I would run like crazy, work out like crazy, and I was just good. I played Division II soccer. I was just okay. And at the end, when I wanted to be great, and all my friends are finishing up with All-Americans and scoring goals in the sixth overtime of an NCAA game, I thought mine was going to turn around for me. And in the end, I played at Pace University, came off the bench in a driving rainstorm, a university you never heard of, and a game you'll never hear about. And I walked up in the mud and I said, I've been playing since I was 5. I have no discernible accolades to build off of. I've been benched at some of the biggest games. I had some good games. And in the end, what did it do? I said, what a waste of time. I wouldn't talk about it. I never took the mud off my cleats. I wouldn't watch soccer. I wouldn't play soccer. I go, what a failure. But when all the failure notices and the rejection notices started coming in television and radio, I just had no reaction. I was like, okay, that place said no. That place said no. That place said no. I kept them all. Right. But it didn't bother me like that,
right,
because I already failed. I already failed in front of my family, in front of my friends, compared to my peers. So I go, I'm not going to fail this time, and I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to age out or lose eligibility. I'm going to wear them out. But if it wasn't for that early failure, the best thing happened to me is not to be an All-American, not to score the winning goal in the championship game, because I couldn't get soft because I hadn't accomplished anything yet.
Yeah, and I think for all of us in this business who have those same type stories, and most do that are still doing it, I think you just touched on it, and I hope people are catching this. Once you have failed, then guess what? The fear of failure is over because you've already done it. So everything that you go into, you're going, well, I tell you what I'm not afraid of is failure, because I've lived it, I've experienced it, and I've got to the other side of it. So I'm not afraid. And when you're not afraid of it, then that's when you really start going for it.
And Brian, you were talking about having control on stage a minute ago. I mean, there's things you can control and things you can't. But you're the only one that decides when you quit.
That's right.
I mean, there's a lot of people told us no and told us we didn't belong and all that stuff. And I always joke around. I don't really think we have a lot of talent, but the one talent we do have is we keep showing up.
That's right.
And we're going on 26 years now. So
right.
I mean, we just keep showing up.
Yeah. When you I don't know if you even.
And I heard about you guys before I met you.
Oh, really?
I knew you guys were a force early on. Number one, because our Fox audience is your audience, the Midwest, not New York, not Los Angeles. And they said, oh, the guys, Rick and Bubba. And Sean Hannity loves you guys. Yeah. And he was telling me what a force you were.
Yeah,
well, Birmingham is probably your best market, too. It has been many, many times. There's no tie in there, Brian, at all.
Yeah. You guys are the South.
Yeah. Well, it's and you guys have been good to us, and you and Sean.
Really
and always giving us opportunity. And like today, agreeing to come on when you got 1,000 things to do. But when you think of Fox, and I know that the Fox was we report, you decide, and the different slogans throughout the year, but it's obvious talking to you that I think you probably are more conservative than you are liberal in your personal life and in your commentary. But you come from New York. Where did this view of the world and politics come from?
I don't know, because my dad died when I was in ninth grade, and he did vote for Humphrey and Kennedy. And we didn't talk a lot of politics, but I was always interested. I was always reading Time magazine. I was always watching what's going on with the Soviet U.S. Arms deals. I was always interested in that while doing sports. I don't know why, but to me, I always liked the country, and I had a fundamental problem even in 8th, 9th grade with people who kept trying to change it. Yeah. I'm like, listen, why are we changing it? Yeah, I know interest rates are high, unemployment's high, but we got a great foundation here. And I always loved our history, and I always felt as though so many Democrats I know, now I wouldn't say aren't patriotic, but are always pointing out what was wrong. I always got up fundamentally. I'm talking about high school, and always thought what was right. And we'll look at people protesting us and hearing about the 60s and the problem, and I'm thinking to myself, even though I love Muhammad Ali, I did not understand avoiding the draft. And those types of things always fueled me. Plus, Long Island is very different from Manhattan. I'm from Long Island, and that is a very diverse area. That's a very, I would say, more red than blue area.
Really?
Hardworking, yeah, outside Manhattan, dramatically different. Upstate New York, extremely Republican, extremely conservative. It's like if you go to upstate New York, you think you're in Iowa. Westchester's a little bit different, but it's split. A lot of wealth in Westchester, where the Clintons are and things like that. But Long Island, very much split. Man, Peter King is my congressman, and I'm living where I grew up. So he's a Republican, obviously. So, I'm not hanging out with Hollywood people that are talking about using their bike instead of a car, or they're not saying that AOC, she is a genius. You don't hear that much in my neighborhood.
Hey, you don't hear that much in many neighborhoods, I'll tell you that. So, Brian, talk to us about Fox News. You guys started, you were, looked to be a little more conservative or mainstream than some of the other outlets, and, you were moving along. You took some hits along the way. How are we today? Where are we at?
I think good. I mean, you got to look at all the shows. It's like, I don't know who follows you at your station, but they don't really consult you about what should be in the content of their show.
Right.
Like Martha doesn't say, what was on Fox and Friends? Let me give Brian a call. She has her own business.
Right.
Tucker has his own business. Just think of it more than ever before. Not that we're on the same team. In fact, I've never seen groups of people in all my years at Fox, 20 plus years. We've never gotten along better on camera, off camera. I've never seen such synergy before. I mean, there's little things that you would never know. Do you know there's like 4 different places to eat in our building? It was like when there's lunch, you eat at your desk or go outside. They try to build things that keep people together. They built brand new offices in the middle of all the chaos of Roger Ailes being removed and all that stuff. They flattened everything out. They rebuilt every single floor. They walked us up and said, what do you want your office to look like? This is the different furniture options. We want to have your staff, the staff of your show near you. And they just went out of their way for those nuances that you thought were unnecessary until it happened. And I've never seen Fox at a better place right now and overall. And I think our programming, we're still winning every single day, almost in every hour. And so I still think it's good. I mean, Tucker's show is dramatically different than Sean's. Sean is very different from Laura. Right. Shannon is very different from everybody else. Brett Baer's the same show. The 5 has never been hotter. Neil Cavuto's always been the same. 3 o'clock Hemmer's fantastic. 2 o'clock Dana's the smartest person you'll ever meet with the most experience. Harris Faulkner, outnumbered, has been a success from day one. And Ed Henry and Sandra Smith are a strong combination. So I think I named the whole lineup.
Yeah.
So, Brian, is I forgot what I was going to ask you now, Brian. I got to listen to the lineup there, and I forgot what I was going to ask you. It was really good. I should have wrote it down here. It's here somewhere.
Talk about how handsome I am. It's going to be embarrassing if I saw you notes.
Oh, I know what it was. With Rupert stepping down and his sons taking over. I mean, some people have worried that we're going to lose the conservative feel to Fox News Channel. And, they feel like the sons may be more liberal or their wives are more liberal. But I haven't really detected that. I mean, can you address that at all?
I can only address me is that they're both great guys. Lachlan's involved every day. And Suzanne Scott's been there from day one. Chet Collier was the one who hired me. He was the mentor to Roger Ailes. And Suzanne Scott worked with Chet Collier, so I've known Suzanne forever. Jay Wallace started and worked his way up, was successful at every single level. He started as a PA, then he became a line producer, then a producer, then executive producer, and now he's running the whole news division. So if someone understands Fox, it's a guy that's been there for 25 years. So all I can tell you is what I know. No one tells us what to say, and no one tells us what to do. And it's just like one of these great places to work. Up until March, it was never been better. Now I'm in an isolated place. All 3 of us are isolated from each other. The mayor kind of, I guess, said unnecessary people, non-essential workers, if you could do it elsewhere, do it. And we went along with that. So hopefully we're back in June and things go back to normal. So I think that we're in an environment now where the President of the United States is different from anything we've ever experienced in our lives, and that affects everything.
Yeah, it really does. So let's talk about that a minute. I mean, November is going to be here before we know it.
Oh yeah.
The whole COVID-19 thing has taken. We went on March 1 celebrating the greatest economy in American history, and now we have as many people out of work as really more than the Great Depression. So in November is coming, and you can feel that the economy is starting to percolate and come back alive, but there seems to be an attempt to keep it from going back to its full strength. And I think some of this has become political and agenda-driven. When you think about Trump in November, do you get a sense that it's so strong that he's going to win in a landslide? But then you think about those states that he won by just a few points, the swing states. Any little alter, we alter any of that at all, he could end up not being the president. Do we need to be careful and not be overconfident, or do you feel pretty confident about his reelection?
If anyone who says they know, including the directors of both campaigns, Biden and Trump, are just not telling the truth. I don't think it's going to be a landslide. I think that's either way. I would say a couple of things. About your first statement, in my opinion, I think the blue states are taking their time for a reason. If it was President Biden, they'll be all let's get this thing going.
Yeah. Right.
And I don't think, and I'm going to say this, I don't think a red state governor would ever do that. Can you ever picture a red state governor holding back business in order for a presidential race in 6 months? Because I don't think that people should think politics. Think about the dry cleaner, the florist, the restaurant owner, the gym owner. That's who's involved. They don't care like we care about politics. They can't believe they're still being held back. I mean, I'm getting emails from Staten Island, New York. We are fine. There are no cases.
Right.
What is going on here? And I'm telling you right now, if you ask those people that are writing me who they're voting for, it's not going to be for the party of people holding them back.
Brian, let me ask you this.
Even if they are Democrats.
You do think that New York, Illinois, California, that is 30% of our economy, those states. Those guys look like they're dragging their feet.
Man, they do.
I do.
So that we get to the third quarter, and that's going to be our last numbers we have before the election. Fourth quarter won't be out till next year.
Right. I would add Michigan. I would add Michigan to that and take out California. Because Newsom was originally slow, and I think he's getting such pushback, and I also think that he wants to. It's such a diverse state. There's so much rural areas. Everyone thinks it's Los Angeles, just like they think New York City is New York. It's just so wrong. And there's so many rural areas there. And I think that he is beginning to open up and picking up the pace. And I think Newsom, I don't think I can put in that category anymore. I hope I can continue that way. But this Michigan governor,
oh man,
I see a total agenda. J.P. Pritzker or whatever he is, sending his family to their compound in Florida while he locks down that state. He says they're in phase 3, but I'm getting emails all the time. Don't believe it. Also, what's going on in Kansas? That's a Republican area. They elected a Democratic governor who seems to be dragging her feet too, because they think they have a shot at that Senate seat, perhaps. So I look at the success stories. Look at Florida. Yeah. They were the last to lock down, the first to open up, and they're successful. Georgia, same thing, successful. Colorado, successful. Doesn't mean there's no cases.
Texas,
we have to live with the risk.
Yeah, Texas is good. We're good here. It just looks strange. The optic, and I would like to think no one would do that, but all they got to do is drag their feet, and they kill those numbers. So the one thing that Trump was absolutely had going for him was the economy, and it looks like this has fallen into their lap to take that out, is what it looks like.
Yes, but nobody, I think, blames the president for the virus. They will look at him and say, could he have gotten off the mark quicker? Please tell me the person that understood the full ramifications of this that doesn't live in Taiwan. Don't tell me Anthony Fauci knew. Don't tell me Dr. Birx knew, because they didn't. Because in January and February, they said this is not going to affect us here. There might have been a few days where the president could act sooner, but my goodness, to be the first president in the history of the country to shut down a country that was humming like it's never before hummed along, that is bigger than big. It's not like we're back on the war footing like 9/11, We're back for like 2003 with Iraq. No, this is like nothing we've seen before. And at this point, I think there were 200 cases in the country, yet he still shut it down. We didn't see it coming from Europe. My goodness, the governor didn't see it coming from Europe, where it's coming from. We didn't get reports from Germany and Italy. Look out. We sent some people there, and they're infected. They got here infected, and they didn't even know in their own countries what they left behind or was behind. So if people are going to look at how quick you came back, and they're going to look at how strong the comeback is. We're at 14.7% unemployment right now. I think if the president can eat away at that and look like we're on the right course while not doing stupid things like fighting with Joe Scarborough, I think that would be great.
Brian, do you think people in blue states that are being held back are going to hold their Democratic leaders responsible for that? Will there be a backlash against them for that in this? And also, what are your thoughts on China? Did they hide it? Was it intentional? Was it accidental? What do you think?
Man, if this wasn't accidental, it'll be the most devious, diabolical thing in the history of man. They wouldn't have put that into a Superman script. They wouldn't have put that into the craziest Will Smith movie ever.
Right.
I mean, I think I'm going to look at the best scenario. I think they were so embarrassed by what happened. They thought they can contain it by brutalizing and oppressing their own people and locking it in that one city. That's what I want to think. However, if I really believe that they believe that, why did they let their citizens travel?
Yep.
To other countries, but not
Europe and America.
But not other places in China.
And as you said, New York.
That looks a little strange.
And as you said, New York got it from Europe, not from China.
Right.
So they went to Europe from China, then from Europe into New York.
Do you think they just let it get away? It was actual lab work, and they just let it get away from them?
I'm leaning towards that. I mean, the Secretary of State said that. There's been intelligence for that. There was no clamor. It's not really impactful if it's the lab or it's some wet market, which I knew nothing about, by the way. But, there was a stand-up comedian, this guy Michael Loftus, who actually was doing stand-up over the weekend. And he said that one of his jokes is, if someone was to tell you the country would be shut down because a guy ate a bad bat, you would think it's the craziest joke you ever heard in your life to the point you're not going to laugh. But I have news for you. A guy ate a bad bat at a wet market, and now the whole world's poisoned. Like he literally saying, can you believe we're saying this?
Yeah, I know.
An infected bat infected 185 nations and destroyed all of their economies except for maybe South Korea and Taiwan.
Yeah. Yeah, it's and the thing that looking at what went on, and now I think the Democrats. This is Bubba and I now. See if you agree or disagree. They knew they had no chance, so they said, "Look, let's just run Biden. Let's be done with it. We all know we're not going to win, and we're going to
fill the slot.
We're going to start shooting for our next shot, and when Trump cannot run again, and we'll try to defeat Pence or whoever the next guy is." And then all of a sudden, COVID-19 kind of fell in their laps. And they're like, oh, my goodness, we didn't see this opportunity.
We might have a shot.
And now they think we may have a way to do this, and I do believe they're using it. And plus, I've heard other commentators say, Hannity, Limbaugh, you guys may have said it too, that also these blue state governors are going to try to use this as an excuse for their bad job, their bad policies.
Bad budgeting.
Yeah. Oh, no, the state was destroyed by COVID-19, not by me. And then try to slow walk this thing down to possibly hurt Trump. But they're stuck with Biden. I mean, what are they going to do with Biden? Because I think they didn't think they had a chance. Now they do. They obviously need a better candidate. What do you think that they'll do?
I actually think you're looking at it as an analyst. From the Democratic perspective, I think they looked at President Trump as the most beatable incumbent in their lifetime. I do. And I think they're stuck with Biden. They had absolutely nobody else. Kamala Harris fell on her face, right? You had Mayor Pete. He's at least 10 years not ready. And I'm saying he's not talented and smart, but he's 10 years out. He needed to be governor somewhere first. So who was left? Well, you had this guy named Bernie Sanders. And Bernie Sanders had so much momentum and is such an outsider, they had fear that he was going to get the nomination and not score the easiest layup in political history. They believe that Trump is that beatable, that it was that freakish that he won by so few votes in all these blue states, like Michigan not Ohio, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. And next thing you know, they said our only alternative is Joe Biden, because everybody else had imploded. Elizabeth Warren, I'm not saying she's not bright, but totally unlikable, and could not win her own state or a neighboring state. So they only had to turn to Biden. But he happens to be the worst candidate in my lifetime.
Well, and we got to wrap it up.
He's not right. Okay?
Well, here's and I'm going to say this. I'm not. I promise you, I'm not saying this to be mean, because we have it in our family. Bubba, you've been through it. We've seen it.
Lost my mom
with our parents and our grandparents. He's obviously in the early stages of dementia. To me, that's obvious. Because I've seen it. We've lived with it in our own families, and that's not to say anything mean. It's just to state a fact that this is only likely going to get worse as we go forward. And I wonder if he'll be able to could do the job if he were to somehow get elected to do it.
So both of you guys, it's not my fault. You had it in your family. When you go out to protect your family members, you said you had in your family, and not put them in a situation where they even go shopping by themselves, let alone run for president. Right. If they really cared about him, they wouldn't let him do it.
No, you're right.
So where is Jill Biden? I mean, it's not like he's got the talent of Bill Clinton and Barack Obama, who are incredibly talented and great speakers and are having some type of failure. So this has been going on. I mean, the other day he said, I'm the one who can beat Joe Biden.
I know.
Yeah. Well, he may be right in that.
And that may be his biggest opponent. That may be his biggest opponent.
Brian, we could talk all day with you, man. I know you got to get to the show.
But you got to go. Yeah. We got to let you go. And thank you for taking time to be with us and for all the years. And we look forward to what God will have us all do together in the future. So thanks for being with us, Brian Kilmeade, on this edition of Rick and Bubba University.